Welcome to the Title Insurance Experience. I am your host, Will Gray. And if you joined us last Friday, you remember that episode was all about how to find the perfect farm for you, for your business and your business plan. And today we will continue that topic with some planning and projections for addressing a new farm. And also this can help with going back to the basics in a farm that you're already comfortably and consistently working. And if, like many, you feel that title insurance topics can be somewhat, I won't say boring, but kind of dry, you're in luck, because today we're also doing math.
Hooray!
Marketing to your farm, you have quite a lot of options. Just within mailing alone, you have first-class mail, bulk postage, and EDDM, which we touched on a little bit last week, and we'll kind of recap a little bit today. And that's just mail. There's also door knocking, flyer dropping, sometimes events in the neighborhood, and often emailing, phone calls, and even social media advertising in the area. Whichever of these channels or combination of these different channels you use, the key is always consistency, repetition, and building trust and familiarity so that your name comes to mind when someone thinks about listing and selling their home. There are various theories about how many touches over what time frame are the best, and I'm not here to wade into that debate. The general consensus overall is the more, the better. Makes sense, but all of these ways of contacting people in your farm take some combination of either time and or money. These are both limited resources in any business, so it's important to utilize them wisely. So, to help with the decision of how much of these resources to invest in your farm, let's take a little dive into the math, and I promise it's super simple math. You don't need to be a mathlete for this episode of the Title Insurance Experience. Part of the nature of a farm is that it is a specific and limited area, so the amount of business that you'll be able to get out of any particular farm will also be limited. You want to allocate your investment of time and money and other resources with these limitations in mind. So it's good to know where the floor and the ceiling are as far as return on what you invest in your farm, and about what to generally expect so that you can decide what to budget. To make this happen, I'm going to be your tour guide for a brief foray into the wonderful world of mathematics. There's a simple formula for calculating how much commission you should expect from your farm in any given year. There are various factors, different numbers that go into it, but the math is simple. It's all just multiplication. And if you head over to willfortitle.com/resources, I've uploaded a ready-made spreadsheet with these formulas built in where you can just plug in the numbers and you're ready to go with your estimated revenue. Here's the idea. The number of homes in the farm times the average turnover rate is the average amount of homes that are going to sell in any given year in that farm. Multiply that number by the average sale price, and that will give you the annual volume within that farm. These are the three items that we'll be taking from public record. There are two more numbers to throw in, and those two come from you. First, your projected capture rate within the farm. This means after a year or two of working the farm, what percentage of the listings that come up in that area do you expect to be the listing agent for? And the great thing about using a spreadsheet for this is it does the calculations live, so you can play with this number. You can do a best case and a worst case scenario. A good, strong, but realistic number is 25% of the business from that farm. You can use that as a starting point. And when you multiply this percentage by the average annual sale volume in the farm, you'll get your personal sales volume from that farm. The last number, of course, is your average commission rate. Multiply that by your average volume, and that is your gross commission income for any given year of farming that area, after the first year or two of building trust and familiarity within the farm. Before you go thinking this is all too easy, I do want to give you a quick note on the turnover aspect of this formula. The typical turnover that you get out of any title system is 1 year turnover, and it's very vulnerable to statistic anomalies. If there were a few more sales this year than any other given year, this could give you too optimistic of an estimate. And alternatively, if it's been a slow year but the farm's usually popping, it could make you think that the earning potential of that farm is lower than it is and maybe lead you to underinvest in your marketing there. I much prefer using the 5-year turnover for this kind of calculation, because even though it's still the past and it's still not a guarantee of future performance, it'll give you a much more reliable way of making an educated guess about what the farm is going to do year after year. The 5-year turnover isn't really hard to calculate, it's just not automatically included in most title portals. All you have to do is take the number of sales from the past 5 years, divide that by the number of homes, and divide that number by 5. An even easier way is to let your favorite title rep know what farm area you're looking for and ask for the 5-year turnover rate. The number of homes and the average sale price you can also get from your title rep, or you can pull very easily from Fetch by WFG. If you still need a Fetch account, you can head over to willfortitle.com/getfetch and sign up there. Now that we know what you should expect to earn from your farm, it's time to get down to the business of building a plan to market within the farm. There's no one way of marketing to a farm that's better than all the others for every farm out there, because different neighborhoods obviously have quite a bit of difference one to the other. They will respond very differently to different kinds of marketing. One thing I definitely recommend you be aware of, which we touched on in our last farming video, is the absentee owners in the area that you're farming. Not all farming methods will be able to reach these people. Obviously, it isn't necessary that every single marketing activity that you do in the farm can reach the absentee owners, but if you don't market to them at least somewhat regularly, you're missing out on the group that actually tends to sell a little more often than owner-occupants. First-class mail, bulk mail, phone calls, and emails will be able to reach absentee owners. EDDM, anything that takes place physically in the farm, of course, and many forms of social media advertising will not. If doing the phone calls and the emailing sounds good, but you're not sure where to get that contact information, a great place to go is Fetch, where you can get the information very inexpensively. While we're on the topic of Fetch, it has 3 built-in searches in its custom filters section that I touched on in my last video. All 3 surface owners that are a little more likely to sell than the average owner in the area. So I would suggest running all 3 of those searches within the area that you're farming and giving those people some extra love and attention. And while different marketing methods have different impacts in different farm areas, one thing that always has a strong effect is the consistency and frequency with which you market in that farm. Imagine actually farming in an actual field for actual crops, and it becomes very clear that having any return at all depends on getting enough water into the farm on a consistent basis. If your crops go too long without water at any given time, everything that you've put into them is lost and you basically have to start again at square one. The seeds of familiarity that you're planting in your farm need plenty of encouragement to blossom into trust. So make a calendar and live by it. Don't only calendar in your touch points, your marketing activities, but also any preparation work that you might need to do, like flyer or postcard design, or ordering notepads from the printer. Being aggressive and ambitious with this plan is excellent. Just make sure that it's something you'll be able to keep up consistently, even with the additional business that you'll generate with your marketing in the farm. It's also a good idea to have a couple backup or contingency plans, like some ready-to-go postcards that you can send to your printer and have them mail out when life comes up and things get crazy. Because at the end of the day, like everything related to sales, what's really going to make the difference isn't how clever or creative your marketing is or the strategic brilliance of your plan in the farm, though these things can definitely help. Like in all sales, persistence and consistency will win the day and will put you over the top head and shoulders above the competition. The fortune is in the follow-up. And that's a great note to use to end this episode. If you need any help building a farming plan, an accountability plan, going over some of the details of what we've covered in these past couple episodes, definitely reach out to me anytime. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to be of help for you. willfortitle.com/contact. Until then, this is WG from WFG saying, don't be a stranger.